Okay, here we are with the kit. In our previous video, we took the trees out of the bag, and now we're just taking a look at some of the parts. What I'm going to do here is take a look at a couple of these axle pieces and just clip them off. Take care of them perhaps at another time. So I'm going to clip. Let me get to the camera a little better here. I'm going to clip just so there's enough leftover tree on the part. I don't want to go right up to the part. I don't want to have it to be flush and then accidentally take off too much. So I'm just going to clip them free here, leaving plenty of room to work from. Alright, you can see this thin piece here. There's some left over. So now I'm going to take a moment, now that it's free, now I'm going to work with it. But if I go at an angle like this, you'll see, let me see if I can get a better position here. You can see it kind of bend, right? If I'm not working with the cutting tool straight across. And I'm going to go straight across so it doesn't bend. See, it's bending here. All right, that's what I want to avoid. So here we go, straight across, and good. And then at another time, I'll take that down with a sanding stick. All right, let's move these aside. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take a look at some of these surface parts. Upper decking rear, upper decking front, and what they're calling the cockpit. And I'd like to make sure that were I to put those on, that nothing in the chassis would show up, because as you can see here, there's a copyright, there's little pin marks here on the wheel wells. So I'm going to take care of this and see if I need to take care of any of these pin marks ahead of time. So yeah, there's the cut right there. All right, let's have a look here. That's the front, that's the rear. Okay, and again, I'm just going to clip them far away from the part. Okay, now they're all free. I'm going to try to start fitting these in. Yeah, it's going to sit like that. Now I'll shave these down just a little bit further because it's going to be a tight fit. And I'm going to start taking the pieces off. Now that they're free, I can come at the flash with a better angle. I guess it's not really flash, it's part of the tree still. I'll tend to use the word flash to mean anything that I need to take off. Alright, take that piece off. That is some flash there. Trimming it here. And I'll come at all of these edges with a sanding stick at some point. But for now, this should be enough. One more here. And again, I'm trying to keep the cutter at the angle that the piece that I'm cutting is at. All right, we're going to start with, let's see here, we're going to start with that part fits. Now let's try the cockpit. Make sure I get the right angle. It's a little tricky. I'm not familiar with the positioning of this here, so let's take a moment. Got a stubborn dog hair. There we go. is a tight fit. I will have to go out the edges with a sanding stick at some point. But again, I don't want to remove off too much because I do want a good snug fit. I don't really want a seam between the hull here and the cockpit. All right, set this piece down. So far, the wheel wells in the back are exposed. Okay, here's the front being attached, and the front are gone, so that's not an issue. Now, at some point, I might decide to thin out this ridge here. My guess, without seeing any pictures of the actual thing, my guess is that this should be much thinner, but that's something I'll tackle down the road. I could either shave off from the top or shave off from the bottom, or just replace all of it with plastic. All right, let's see, these pin marks are exposed, but let's take one more look. Oh, these little holes here appear to be for the grab handles, and I might fill those at some point and make new grab handles. So we'll consider that as well. But let's see if these pin marks are going to be seen, and if they're seen, then I need to remove them, or if something else is covering them up. And it looks like the back seat cushion actually lays on top of them, which might hide them and obscure them completely, which would be great. So let's take a look. What I'm going to do is go ahead and take the actual part off and make sure that it does cover up the pins. Pin marks. It looks like it might work. Here we go. My guess is that Tamiya did in fact plan this out well and had the pin marks in such a place where they would be hidden anyhow. That's just the kind of company this is. Excellent engineering. Tamiya is one of my favorite companies, and I've built more Tamiya than any other company up to this point. Yep, it looks like it's quite covered up. So I'm not going to waste any sanding stick or sandpaper or any time on shaving that down. Alright, look, check out the bottom here. I see these nice bolts here. They appear to be molded on. They're not some sort of leftover from pressing from the other side, so that's great. It's, again, Tamiya engineering, paying attention to detail. Wonderful. Okay, so upon further inspection, I found that the kit, according to ScaleMates, this kit is from 1974, but there have since been two new toolings. And I believe one is in the 90s and perhaps one in the 2000s. I can't remember exactly. But basically they provided some extra detail. Certainly there were new molds. They created an engine portion that could be shown. And there's some PE parts as well as the grill up front here where it was PE metal. So yeah, I'm still, despite the updates that have occurred, I'm still very pleased with what I'm seeing here. And I just don't think I really need to break down and go ahead and get that new one. That was the case when I got the Accelerators M107. I think they called it the Mad Dog. And then went ahead and got the Tamiya one because that one was just rife with flash and all kinds of parts were not correctly filled, and so there were all kinds of marks all over the kit, and so I went ahead and got the new one. What I want to do now is take a look at the dials here, and I think in the new versions of this kit they provide decals for the dials, but I'm just going to use some of the Archer dry transfers that I have just kind of floating around. Let's see if we can, yeah, so these are some of the dry transfers I have just kind of lying around for just general Jeep kits. Tamiya and Bronco versions, and I think I'm just gonna kind of mix and match and make it look right, not overdo it. I believe Archer did actually have their own dry transfers for this set specifically, but Archer is no longer doing dry transfers. My understanding is that they had some sort of material for the process of making these dry transfers that they were no longer able to have access to. And I believe that they're working on getting some very, very thin decals to replace those, which should be exciting. So anyway, that's where we are with this kit. I really like this. It's gonna be a lot of fun to put together. It's typical Tamiya, excellent work, and I hope you continue to follow the progress of this build. Thank you.